Thank you for joining William Steele True Crime and Steele the Spotlight Television. This is William Steele with my amazing co-host joining us at one time together for the first time in history, Frank Lordi and Ignacio Esteban. Frank was a county commissioner in Youngstown, Ohio, who was framed, set up for his stance against corruption, went to prison, got exonerated, wrote a phenomenal book, Framed Innocence. And we're going to tell you about that. And we have Ignacio Esteban, author of ATF Undercover and the voice of History Channel's Gangland Chronicles. So let me bring them on the screen. I have a new setup going on here. See if we can't figure this out. And nice. There we go. We have everybody on screen together. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Bill. Glad to be here again. We're doing our weekly show. Nice to see you, Frank.
I love it. Nice to see you, Ignacio.
Thank you.
We get some more guests on here. It'll be like the Hollywood Squares, you know. So I'm going to probably play around with the layout as we go. Just
the more the merrier.
What it looks like.
Yeah,
you're free.
Everybody listens. It's pretty weird. I don't know how many layouts they have, but anyway. So I think side by side's a good one like that, right?
Yeah, they're all good. Yeah, they're excellent.
Okay, so
you're talking.
We're rolling into.
Yeah, you're talking, but your mouth not moving. Uh-oh.
And we'll have to sing it today, but we're gonna get through the show. One of the things in the news that I love to touch on one thing. This guy David Schwartz, attorney for Michael Cohen, the Stormy Daniels Trump saga. Have you guys heard of this guy David Schwartz?
A little bit.
Yeah, he's a dirtbag lawyer for the guy that's testifying against Trump.
No,
not answering.
He
went still on us.
Everybody comes off the screen, so we're dealing with some technical issues.
What do you know about Bill? What do you know about this guy Schumer, Bill?
You talk about David
no, that's
Schwartz.
Me.
Schwartz. I mean Schwartz. What do you know about Schwartz here?
Schwartz.
David Schwartz. Okay, so you know my beautiful co-host here, Frank, with the big smile. He said he's a dirtbag lawyer, so that's the opinion of my guest. You know, and you know he's entitled to his personal observations. I have a story that is so huge about this guy and his horrific conduct. That show is going to be coming out in a day or two.
Okay.
I want to know what you guys know about David Schwartz. Now, he is the guy representing Michael Cohen, and Michael Cohen's the guy who is Stormy Daniels. He's in prison now for wanting to testify against Trump, and he got caught making up lies about Trump and all kinds of stuff. So what have you guys recently heard about this David Schwartz? Because he's in the news constantly, and we have a personal connection with the proof. It's going to come out in a few days.
Schwartz. Yeah, I think I've read just a few articles here about, I guess, Cohen forwarding him some case law. You know, Cohen was an attorney, and I guess it was generated through an AI database, and he didn't vet it, and they put in the briefing, and it looks like it wasn't good case law. So he didn't look good about that. I mean, if your client gives you anything, you've got to research it and verify that it's good. You just can't say, hey, it's good enough, I'll put it in there. And the judge didn't appreciate that. And the judge didn't appreciate that. So they're dealing with that mess right now. That's why I don't know much more. I know you guys have a lot more info on this guy.
Right. What do you think about this guy, David Schwartz?
I don't think he's a very credible lawyer if he's representing a guy that's not credible at all. So he must two peas in a pod. That's what I think. And I think that they're just trying to destroy Trump once again.
He is part of one of the most breaking news stories right now in the last few days. And we have something on him that's going to rock the United States with another huge story about this guy's utter malfeasance and impropriety and disgusting behavior towards people and not checking the facts before he moves.
Look forward to it. Should be a good show. Coming out in a few days, Bill. Should be a good one, right, Frank? Frank, should be a good show, it sounds like, right?
He went blanking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
So
be a good one. I'm rubbing my ear. It's itchy.
Yeah.
So David Schwartz in Westchester County says that he wants them to not prevent flavored tobaccos to come in because it's going to increase smuggling operations, which who knows? But at the end of that 3-minute thing, which I'll put the link in the description, he's got the nerve to say the first 9/11 attack was financed by tobacco smuggling.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy is so off the rails. And when the breaking news comes out, his connection to people close to me with evidence, with letters, with emails, well documented, I think that'll be the end of his career. Anyway, guys, thank you. Ignacio, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, we got so much. Like every week, Bill, we always have so much to talk about. I think the one that stands out right from the beginning is the disaster with Fani Willis, Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Nathan Wade, judge. I think the judge should have had them both disqualified, but Nathan Wade, he's gone, which was her lover, right? That she picks that they lied under oath. They lied in their affidavits. They've been having this affair, it appears, for years. She collects, and then they're paying him from her office over $600,000 to be special counsel that he's supposed to specialize in racketeering cases. The guy's a divorce attorney. The guy has no specialty in this. And she benefits by they take these exotic, amazing vacations in the Caribbean, the cruises out to Napa in California. They both should be removed. And I think now I heard that the Trump's team and the defense attorneys are filing motions to have this case removed for many different reasons, and also with First Amendment rights violations. So watch out for this. I think this case goes nowhere fast. And I think Fani Willis, you know who's going to end up being in jail at the end? Be these two for lying under oath to the judge, lying in their affidavit. And these two, Fani Willis, district attorney, disbarred, and she's the one that's been looking at some time. That's shocking.
Let me add to that. What say you? Bill. All right. I'd say that exactly Ignacio's right on. But you know how I took it is that when the judge came down with his verdict and he said, one of you have to step down, either the prosecutor or the witness, Wade, that's telling me they're both guilty. Yeah. When he says one of you got to step down because you're saying they're both guilty. Come on, that's what it is. It's lies. And I always thought you couldn't lie under oath. As soon as somebody lies under oath, they're ready to charge him with another charge. Perjury. But they just let it pass. That judge was coming up for election, by the way. And, I don't think he could win. I think he was stuck in the middle because if he would have ruled against them, Ignacio, I definitely believe they'd have been yelling and screaming to the ceiling that he's racist because that's the card game.
That's what she did at the church. Remember, she went to the church before all this came up?
Yes.
And she did that spiel.
Yep.
So she's sort of factoring that in. I think at the end now he's let it go to the appeals court. At the end, she still might get removed. But he kind of did something. At least I took one of them out. Okay, the appeals court wants to remove her. Hey, that's on them. That's not my problem. And if it goes to appeals court to dismiss it because it was overreaching this indictment, well, that's on them. That's not me. So he's trying to have both ways. He wants to have his cake and eat it too.
What about the fact that the office needs to be disqualified now as well?
Yeah. Well, I think the whole case gets dismissed. I think the case goes away, Bill. This is going to be the least of his worries. I think this case goes away.
This is the Banana Republic stuff we're talking about. Now, Trump's being prosecuted by another corrupt, in my opinion, prosecutor, judge, liberal. It's just so politically bent, Banana Republic nonsense. So these people are clearly going to prison when this is over with. But, they're going after the most powerful one of the wealthiest men in the world. So his fee for going to the appeals court, $450-something million was reduced by the appeals court to $175 million with a 10-day extension to pay it. And my feeling was it would be paid in one day at that point. So you guys heard about that as well, right?
Yeah, that just happened recently. Yeah, I saw that. That was he has 10 days to do it. The good news for Trump, that's a win for him big time. Not $500 million now, $175 million. Okay, that's pretty good. And another big thing is for him is that his Trump media company for his social media platform, Truth Social, went public this week, and right now his worth is $11 billion. 11. So this is going to be a little chump change for him. His company's worth $11 billion. He's about to expand his wealth. This is going to be a bonanza for him. And he said, "Okay, we'll work this out. It'll be $300 million. Okay, that's nothing compared to what I'm worth right now." So this is going to be least of his worries. But this works out a little better for him. And then E. Jean Carroll, I think that's going to be a joke. And I think that $85 million goes down to a few million, and that goes away too. What do you think, Frank?
I'm on Truth Social, official William Steele. Check me out on Truth Social, where you can speak your mind without fear of censoring. And I'll tell you what, it went public. We all knew it was going to be going public, and it shot up into the billions. I will not
Oh,
say
wow.
on this platform why I have such a big smile on my face and how much money I made. You know why I won't say it? Because I didn't invest in it, and I wish I did. I think anybody that got in the IPO would have been an overnight millionaire.
IPO did well. Yeah, it went up to 70 something. I think it opened up. It was like a 45, and it opened up at 70 something. I think it's at 6 something. So it's done well. So it's. I think it's still a good long term play.
You know, Bill, what I want to say about what Ignacio expressed his concerns about the bond and that they put on Trump is, first of all, it wasn't supposed to go into that judge's court. They handpicked him, who has no commercial background. And the biggest joke I thought of that whole situation, 18 million. That's what he put the value of Mar-a-Lago. Are you kidding me? And one newscaster said, I found that interesting that he said that. So he says, I went online to see what the value of the property was next to him. And he looked at the property. It wasn't near as big as Trump's, and it was valued at 250 million. So what's that tell you?
Yeah.
What a corrupt
nearby empty lots are like $20 million.
Yeah, that's not Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is like 200 million, easy. Unbelievable.
I think they said even more than that, Ignacio. I saw.
Yeah, he said about 350 million. They said
350.
Okay.
Wow,
well,
nice.
Let's go valuations that put it like literally closer to the $1 billion mark.
Wow. That's a
You've
lot.
seen the property. You spent time in South Florida. It takes you a good minute just to drive past it on South Ocean Boulevard and Palm Beach.
Nice. Yeah, he lives there.
Enormous property.
Yeah, so that's something interesting to look at here. And then you have the election here. So he's dealing with all these other factors. You've got now RFK Jr., which has now picked his VP. There was a lot of names out there. Maybe Jesse the Body Ventura, maybe Aaron Rodgers, former quarterback from the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, he had a list of names, but he went with a little lesser name, but yet a very wealthy and well-connected person, Nicole Shanahan.
Yes.
Her claim to fame was she married the CEO, co-founder of Google, last name Brin, Sergey Brin. So a lot of money, a lot of wealth, and something else that she did was interesting. You know, she has a tough life. A little background about her. A little back. They don't know Shanahan's background. Her mother's Chinese. She was a maid, I guess, in China. Came over to the United States. Her father was American. I guess he was schizophrenic. He was bipolar. She said she had a tough upbringing, dealing with some of that kind of background. She went to school, got her law degree, made something of her life, which is good, and married well. And she did that. But she was the one who helped found, who will pay for that commercial. If you saw it during the Super Bowl about Kennedy, that's worth $4 million. She paid for that commercial. And that's well, there's a lot of controversy because comparing, his uncle and him, and a lot of the family members didn't like that. But that's what cover claim fame. But she's well connected. I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for Biden. Like I said before, no incumbent in the last 50 years has won. Anderson did it to Carter, Perot did it to Bush. RFK Jr. is going to do it to Biden. Biden is not going to win because RFK Jr. is in the mix there. So something interesting to watch there. What do you guys think?
I think there's a few more issues in the mix with that Stein. I think she took about 20% of the vote the last time she ran, which will come away from the Democratic Party, which is another good thing. The latest polls are showing that the blacks and Hispanics are starting to move over. And you could understand this in them sanctuary cities where the government is pouring money into there for gift cards and food cards. And they've got poverty in them cities because they got high crime. And those people in poverty are saying, why are you taking care of them? Why not us Americans first? You guys agree?
I agree. That's awful. Those cities are awful. New York City's awful. Chicago, LA's awful. And look at how horrible that money could be used for the homeless situation. If you go to Oakland, go to some of these places where homeless situation is awful, off the chain. I don't have to go far. Here in DC, I'm in Northern Virginia. When I used to go, I had to travel headquarters for ATF. I had to go Union Station. I'd never seen anything like the homeless situation there. I can only imagine. I avoid that area. How much worse it is now after the pandemic and all this money getting flown in there. It is just a horrible situation. As a great nation of ours, that has to be cleaned up. We can't have people living like that. It's unacceptable. We can't. It's a health issue. It's a disgrace, and it's bad for tourism. No one wants to see people dying on the street like that.
Virtually all of this can be traced directly back to Democrat policies, Democrat
failed policies.
unfortunately, I have some Democrat friends, and they're wonderful people, but they're still seem to be blindly voting for this proven track record of just disgusting destruction everywhere you turn. It's like the whole fabric of our society is being undermined, and then they'll couch the Republicans as bad because we don't like illegal immigrants coming in this country.
Right.
Trump even said that. He's referring to the illegal aliens, the ones that are not coming in properly, not being vetted. They're not being assessed for who they really are.
No, that's why a lot of people fear we're going to have a major terrorist attack. Look what happened in Russia just recently and Moscow. It's not that complicated. These guys had AK-47s. There was a concert, right? Just like Hamas did. They open up, and that's unfortunately what we're going to see in this country. It's been a while since we had a major attack, 9/11, right? I don't think it'd be at that scale, but it's very simple for these guys to go get the weapons. You can get it anywhere, gun shows. You can get it yourself at private sales, whatever. And these pieces of garbage can do the same kind of horrific horror. Mass shooters do it. Why can't these guys do it? 4 or 5 of them. Look what happened in Paris years back ago. Very simple way to do it.
Yep. I'd like to add something to this real quick. With all these illegals coming in the border en masse and unchecked and just let go, and then their paperwork for their hearing and their appointments have all been wiped off the computers. By the way,
you can't function that way.
Listen to this. So yesterday it came out that a few of the Chinese have been intercepted, and they had a paper on them written in Chinese, written by, I think it was the ACLU and another organization, that's telling them how to respond to the police, how to contact them, what cities to go to, how to get there, how to evade the authorities, which now makes them, the organizations putting those papers out, guilty of racketeering activity for furthering the introduction of illegal aliens into this country. I mean, if they're already here and you're trying to help feed somebody, that's fine. That's humanitarian. But when you're teaching them to break the law, Bruce Cutler got thrown off the Gotti defense team, one of the best attorneys in the country, because they ruled that he was in-house counsel because he was caught on tape giving him advice on how to avoid laws or whatever. So why are these organizations advising people how to get into this country, where to go, where to hide, how to answer the police, not being held accountable for racketeering? That's what they need to be held accountable for.
What's most appalling to me, one of the most things that's appalling to me, is that how we are saying it's okay for illegal immigrants to have guns. Are you kidding me? These gangs and stuff. And then you got the FBI, Ignacio, they just come out recently in a press conference saying how dangerous it is what they've got accountable as many as 150 terrorists in our country. Now, all they got to do is get together with the illegal gang members coming in, put them together. They got a group that's ready to start terrorizing the United States of America.
Well, you don't go much far. Look what's going on in Haiti. That exact scenario you said just happened in Haiti. These gangs got together, these groups got together, and they pretty much had a coup. And the president, the prime minister, Ariel Henry, he's in Puerto Rico, and he said, you know what? I can't get back in there. This thing's out of control. And it's a complete failed state in Haiti. It is shocking. Hundreds, if not thousands of people are being massacred and killed. It is an ultimate purge. And I could only imagine the horror innocent people are suffering right now. They can't even escape because the United States is worried. DeSantis has ordered the National Guard on call in Florida. And then they have the Coast Guard ready, intercepting a lot of people trying to escape because it's going to be a mass exodus. Well, then you know what? The UN has to step up and they have to bring order back because if not, this is going to be like this for a long time. And it's going to be, what happened in Rwanda in Africa or Somalia? This might be even worse than that. By the end, it could be close to 500,000 people dead. We have to keep an eye on what's going on. This is a huge humanitarian crisis right next to our country. Unbelievable. So that's what happens. Lawlessness takes over. You don't know what's going on. That could happen here.
Absolutely. I guess Biden keeps dodging the press conferences, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I surely would hope that the conservative Republican Party would blast this during election time after Labor Day, when things really get fired and hot. They should say, we've tried to debate him. We need to debate him. The problem they have is he's not going to be able to use the teleprompter.
No,
unless they get him pumped up on some kind of something that'll make him get angry and see that dementia come out of him. But it's a joke. He's a joke. Because I'd like to ask him, I'd say, Mr. President, could you tell me in the public of the United States why you are for open borders? I'd like to know that, you and the Democratic Party.
Awful. You know, they just give him like a big ice cream cone right before he likes ice cream. He likes to do. He's an interesting guy.
They released some scientific studies, and the Alzheimer's Association said there's a reason that seniors love ice cream, and it has to do with the chemical release of endorphins and stimulating memories and a good mood, as opposed to
he's a different guy, man.
And it's sad. It's sad for anybody, and I can go through it one day. Anybody can go through it. So we're not knocking him for having this mental condition. The problem is he holds the nuclear codes.
That's the problem.
He's letting illegal aliens and fentanyl come in here like crazy. I mean, there's so many things that could be done with that fentanyl. We're not even going to talk about it on the show. It's just disgusting what he's allowing.
Yeah, his age is a big factor. I think he has to realize that he's not fit qualified, and he should step down. But the problem is, if he does, Kamala Harris is worse. She's the ultimate word salad, right? We know it's his excuse. What's her excuse? She's awful. She's not. If she's become president, that's a big problem. I think that's even worse. So,
Ignacio, don't you think it was worse that she was even, think about this, an attorney general? Are you kidding me?
California. But I can see California because California's a mess. It's a soup sandwich over in California. So that's the way it is. It's a mess. I mean, that's horrible. The policies that failed there. You can't protect yourself. All the criminals have all the guns they want, right? And they make it impossible if you have a weapon to protect yourself. And then we talk about the corruption. We did a show on Fresno, right, Bill? Yeah. And talked about what's going on with the massive corruption, historic corruption there. So that's a toxic, horrible environment. And hey, that's why Sylvester Stallone said, you know what? I've had it, California, and they bolted to Florida, and he's now in Palm Beach County with a beautiful home that he has out there, right? What pays state income tax? A lot of the professional athletes don't want to go to California. They said, you know what? Trade me to a team where I don't have to deal with that mess over there and pay all those taxes. So they want to be in Florida. They want to be in Texas, anywhere but California. Good for them.
They want to pass a law in California to penalize people that are moving out to get away from the nonsense. You have a right. That's unconstitutional. You shouldn't have to pay a fee to want to move to another state.
He's the worst governor he had. They've had some good governors. Ronald Reagan was a good one. Nixon before all the trouble, he was a good one. And I like Arnold. I thought he was a good one. I saw his documentary recently, and it was interesting all the policies. But this guy might be the worst ever. Him and Jerry Brown, I think, are up there as two worst governors in the history of California. Awful, man. The Golden State is just become something else. And if they don't clean up that mess in Oakland and San Francisco, those companies are never coming back there.
I think you're going to see that Trump did back Bernie Moreno in Ohio here for United States Senator. Yeah. I think that one of their campaign managers is supposed to contact me, and I hope they do, because I said one of the big issues you got to hit hard on when you run against him. Yeah. He only comes out during election time mainly, and his big thing is let's show the voters of the country of Ohio anyway. Let's show them how he's voted strictly down the line for Biden and the Democratic policies.
Yeah, that's failing.
That would be enough.
Yeah, that's a fail. Ohio normally has become like a red state now. It seems like recently.
Yes. Yeah, so, we are for the most part.
Yeah. So that's a good thing there, and I think Trump we should count on Ohio, and hopefully now Michigan goes back to Trump. I think because of what's going on, and we'll transition. I want to talk about Chuck Schumer here in Hamas and Israel and the Palestinians. They're not happy, and I think Michigan is going to end up going back to Trump like it was in 2016.
Let me just
right, Ignacio. What right do we have to tell Russia how to run their war? Because I heard Bibi say, we go ceasefire, you're giving the enemy a chance to load up and regroup. Why do you want to do that?
You're talking about Israel, or you're talking about Russia?
Israel.
That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong for Chuck Schumer. I've never seen that before for a Senate Majority Leader, especially. I know he's Jewish American, but it says, you know what? You can have an opinion, but don't tell them what they have to do with having an election, and don't tell them they have to remove this guy. You know what? That's up to the people. They feel scared. Hey, you don't live in that environment. That's an awful way to live, man, because you know what? They're coming back. Remember, and I believe, based on all the intelligence out there, you can read about it, that Iranians already have the nuclear weapon. Based on what's out there, I think they already have it, because AI shows it very easily how you can put it together. And the Iranians are more sophisticated than they already know how to do it. They got the materials. I have a feeling the U.S. keeps them pushing back and forth. They want to help Hamas once and for all destroy the Jewish state. They don't want that. They want to destroy it, absolutely, and they're obsessed with it. As much as they hate us, they're more obsessed to destroying Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Absolutely.
They're cowards, and they fear getting annihilated if they decide to do something like that.
That's why it's almost impossible. It sounds good. They tried it once before to have that two-state agreement, but that ain't going to work.
Not now. No,
I wish it would, but they're not going to live in peace till they destroy Israel.
From the river to the sea is their motto. From the river, I was in. I think I told Bill this. I was here. Went to D.C. My daughter had a dance convention, and we were walking to the White House. We always walk to the White House and mother daughter and explore it because there's always interesting characters, protests always going on from the White House. Man, there was a massive Palestinian protest. I don't realize how many Palestinians are in the United States, but their flags were flying everywhere, and they were chanting, "From the river to the sea." It means that's extermination of Israel. They don't want that. They hate the Jewish state. That's for sure. They hate it. And this, unfortunately, has only created more animosity and hatred because they hate each other so much that this doesn't go away. Unfortunately, this just continues to ramp up.
They flee their countries to come here for a better life, and then they try to corrupt our country and turn it into what they fled. I mean, that religion, the religion of peace. Now, I'm not going to really get into it. You have to respect each other's religions, but most of the countries that are living under that are just in the most horrific condition, controlling, stoning people to death, or just living in the Stone Ages. It's just, and then they flee that and they want to install it here. I don't get it. And then these politicians are just letting them come in and get away with it. They're shutting down airports. They're arrest them, put them all in prison. You want to live like that? Strip them of their citizenship or their visas, whatever the hell it's called, and send them back somewhere. Send them right back.
See, I think a big play in this bill is going to be the silent majority, the majority that don't like crime, and crime's a big issue, and they won't talk about crime. And in Ignacio, they're also given phony numbers on crime, stuff that is a crime. They're not calling it a crime. They're messing with the figures to try to make them look good, like they're doing something. Yeah. We all know. Defund the police. I still can't get over that. I still can't. That mentality is like having open borders. Same thing. It's so destructive. It's unbelievable.
No, that's awful. Defund the police. Horrible idea. Open borders has been awful. And I'm glad that the governor Abbott in Texas took the initiative out there. They Eagle Pass. They secured it. Right. Eagle Pass was a disaster coming in through the Rio Grande. They secured it. And then they wanted to get the Border Patrol involved. It's going to deal back and forth. But you know what? They know how to secure the area, work together. But if you don't want to do it, then he has to protect his people of his state. And he's doing the right thing for his people.
Ignacio, you saw how they broke through the barriers?
Yeah.
If that isn't called an invasion, Texas should have a right to put a stop to that. I can't believe that they would try to stop them federally from
Mexico doesn't do Guatemala. I mean, Mexico protects its borders, but
That's
right. López Obrador says, he's not going to get involved in this thing. Well, I say, listen, if you're not going to get involved in this, because he's a socialist. People don't know who López Obrador is. He's ultra socialist. He likes that policy, hugs for thugs. He doesn't want to get in war with the cartels. He said, if the Americans and the Europeans and the Canadians want to use all this product, that's their problem. They can't control themselves. But you know what? These people are doing a lot of danger. But when the guns come back down, then he starts crying wolf and everything else. And that's not the work. He's probably one of the worst presidents we've ever seen in Mexico. We don't have an equal partner on the war on drugs. This guy's part of the conspiracy. He is embedded with these guys. And corruption in Mexico is out of control. And you see gun control doesn't work. The cartels have all the weapons they want. They manipulate everybody they want right there. And yet the honest person who's can have the weapons, they get victimized big time. That's what's happening in this country.
Ignacio, do you believe, like probably a lot of people do, and I'm believing this, the cartels have the Mexican president under their thumb?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's obvious. Hugs for. Look at that policy. What right president doesn't go after organized crime, right? You have to. We've had our presidents here go after Capone, go after drug cartels, go after Gotti, right? You have to go after the worst of the worst. You can't be afraid it's going to cause a civil war. It's not going to cause a civil war, but work with the United States. The reason why I didn't go to Mexico with ATF, because this administration in Mexico decided to renege diplomatic immunity for agents. So you think I'm going to go to Mexico without diplomatic immunity? He doesn't want us armed, and he didn't want us doing this. I'm not taking my family in that environment. I'm not going to Mexico City. They need our help, but they want it on their terms, which is not good for Americans. That is for sure.
And one thing we know is they didn't get away with that when Trump was president, did they? He went right to the Mexican president and said, this is the way it's going to be. Just like the other thing we didn't bring up and talk about in this topic is China shoving the EV vehicles like they're trying to shove EV vehicles down our throat, and it's not working, is it?
No.
We don't have the infrastructure for them, and many other reasons. So, but it's interesting what you said about the dangers of an agent like yourself working in Mexico, especially without diplomatic immunity at a minimum. At a minimum, you're putting your life on the line with the most dangerous people on the planet, trying to gather intelligence, work CIs, do undercover operations, and you have no protection. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, and it's not funny. Enrique Camarena. Do you remember who that was?
Oh, that's awful. He DEA agent suffered horrible death. You
should write a book about that case and wake the people back up to what really happens when these people are unprotected or vulnerable and doing the good work for citizens here. So,
HSI had 2 of their agents ambushed a few years ago, and he was killed also going down that way. Yeah, agents get killed all the time in Mexico. It's just the amount of corruption that goes on there. If they want to be serious about it, Frank and Bill, you go in there, martial law is in effect, and you start kicking butt, and you have work with the United States, with their intelligence. Just like I got El Chapo. When they want to work, when they want somebody, when they got embarrassed, when not once, twice, but third time escapes, right? They can't even handle the worst of the worst. They have to come to the U.S. They have to be extradited because they don't want to deal with it. They can't deal with it. That's an embarrassment. But that's what we have to deal with. It's a lot of things. A lot of things we got to deal with.
I'm going to take a quick break here for the fans of this show and our fans, all of our respective fans, that some of them are familiar with you guys, some of them are familiar with me. I'm going to quickly allow everybody 30 seconds to introduce themselves, and we can start with Frank. Frank, what's your claim to fame? And then introduce yourself to the audience of the show again that we're doing with Ignacio, and you're my co-host, and your backstory. Try to keep it succinct, and then we're going to put your books on the screen as you're talking.
Okay. My name is Frank Lordi. I'm a former Youngstown firefighter and business guy. And one day I got this really bright idea to get involved in politics to make a difference in our community. And boy, were my eyes really wide open to find out how much corruption and how it was spread throughout the area through various vessels that were able to control things, just like what's happening on a national level. And I say this, corruption all starts down at the lower level where I was at. The higher it goes, it gets more corrupt. The reason why it gets more corrupt, it's about 2 issues, power and money. Yeah. That's why we need my 2 things that I will harp on. We need term limits, which they won't let happen. Sure. And number 2, when you vote on issues, you should vote on one issue to pass laws and budgets, one issue at a time. And don't flood the market and BS the public with stuff you put in just to get votes from your colleagues to satisfy them, and no concern for the little guy, the middle America, and American citizens. Thank you.
So that's great.
So Frank's become a real good friend. He is a co-host of the show as well. Frank Lordi, author of the book Framed Innocence, who was recently exonerated. You got exonerated. One of the most things on planet Earth in the justice system here in the United States. So Frank and I have decided in a few weeks to start going on a book signing tour and speaking engagements. And we've invited Ignacio to participate in some capacity. So Ignacio, introduce yourself to our audience, please. Again.
Yes. Ignacio Esteban here, retired federal law enforcement, 26 years, right? 21 with ATF, 5 with U.S. Customs. Now I have become a prolific writer with close to 80 books on Amazon, 2 of them on Audible. I've been doing a lot of these podcast shows, I think over 300 and counting. I do a weekly show with you, Bill. I've been doing a lot more, and I've got now Transmedia Group. I've been working on my screenplays, hopefully make it into a TV series based on ATF Undercover, Broken Crowns. I also got a clothing line and merchandise. So you go to Printify, undercoverinc.printify.me. You can find that stuff out there. And just telling stories and working and ideas. I also love politics. My books are true crime, politics, and other stuff. And you can check me out. Go to Amazon, Ignacio Esteban. Find my books out there. And if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, all my books are free for you. So all my books are free. You can enjoy them and check them out and stuff. So I enjoy talking to you guys. And I enjoy this conversation, Frank and Bill.
So now Ignacio knows that I was a prolific, unfortunate career criminal, and I now get on here and tell my stories in order to give back and help people, get people to not follow in their footsteps, realized it was all for nothing in the end. And I lost many years of my life. And I'm very humbled that these gentlemen accept me to be a co-host to give a different perspective. I am a law enforcement supporter. I'm not like one of these guys, after the police, but none of us likes police corruption. And so my backstory, just real quick, is so I grew up with a mentally ill mother in Brooklyn, New York, and I experimented with cocaine after the death of a friend. I got it over my head. I became a cocaine trafficker, dealer, gun runner. And then I had taken some courses in locksmithing and alarms, and I became an international jewel and art thief. So I stole millions of dollars, and I deeply regret it. Went to prison. I escaped from prison. I ended up on America's Most Wanted website, and I wrote a few books when I was incarcerated. But the biggest thing that I had going on, this first book here was covered by Nancy Grace on her podcast. Her name's on the cover of my book now. It's about the wealthiest serial killer in American history, Robert Durst. And it's really written from the point of view of crime victim advocacy. I knew Durst personally. The second one is about my unfortunate, I say relationship, but acquaintance with Ghislaine Maxwell. So I knew her fairly well, and I wrote an expose about her as well from the point of view of crime victim advocacy. As I was getting released from prison for 18 years for nonviolent crimes, A&E Network asked if I wanted to participate in the docuseries / reality show spinoff, sort of Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiance, made by the same people. Shout out to A&E and my producer, Joe Ruzer.
Nice.
Participated. It became the second highest rated reality show in the United States. And now I'm hoping to transition my millions of fans over here to our shows. So, Yep, we have Steal a Spotlight TV now. We have William Steele True Crime, social media podcast. Ignacio is going to be the voice on History Channel's Gangland Chronicles for a couple of shows about his cases and his books. And
right. MS-13 and the Crips and the Bloods and other gangs, for sure.
Frank's dealing with some wrapping up some business issues, and then we're going to involve him more deeply in what we're doing. And there's a lot of things going on. I just got a little small part in a movie called Silent Partners in Florida.
Excellent.
And shout out to Ciro DiPaggio and my friend Bruce Sosa. And so that's a little introduction to who we are. So anybody who tuned in late knows what we're doing here. Crime prevention, inspirational stories. And, these guys don't judge me. And that's very humbling for me. And I appreciate you guys having me part of this circus here.
Remember I told you, Bill, when you asked me that question, I said the proof is in the pudding. I give people a chance, but if it goes bad, then you're like, okay. But if it's good, then we're good.
Right.
Yeah, I think that you guys both need to be complimented. Ignacio, that's a good footprint to follow, how you give everybody a chance. And I think Bill or William, whatever you want to call him, William or Bill, I like to call him Willy Wonka. I'm sorry. but you are to be commended, Bill, because I'm going to use a word that probably the average citizen might not be aware of. It's called the recidivism rate. Mm-hmm. And that is like as high as 75% that people go back in. And you started a new career that put all that stuff behind you. And of course, me and Ocasio has put that behind us too, because we believe you deserve that second chance. And you're taking advantage. And I see some doors opening for you, and you got a bright future. So hang in there. We love you, and we support you, and we're there for you.
Thank you.
Keep it up, Bill. Keep it up.
Yeah. You're gonna make me cry. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for my fans. As you can see, I'm not that good at using these virtual backgrounds yet, because sometimes I have a green outline. There's an ideal distance from the screen and the camera, and I haven't quite mastered that yet. It's a work in progress. And
Bill and I have been doing shows now, Frank, for over a year and a half now.
Yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah.
What else are we going to talk about today? What are we missing, guys, so we can get ready to wrap this one up?
Yeah, just one thing. I know that Frank does politics, and I did. I'm involved in this ground level, grassroots level thing. We have this. You know what Bucc-ees is, Frank?
No.
Bucc-ees it's a massive. It started out of Texas. Massive gas stations. It's a franchise that has like maybe 100, 120 pumps. Imagine that, and with a convenience store the size of a Walmart. All right. So just imagine that. Right, they want to build that near my backyard out here, right? And we live in a nice residential area. I mean, high end. I'm telling you, homes. People are outraged, and we're saying, wait a second, whose idea was this to put this behemoth right near the interstate? We're near 95, right there. Where I think normally you build these massive gas stations like that. where they're more isolated, because you'll add almost 10,000 patrons a day through this area. 10,000 people stopping. You know what that brings also in? A lot of crime, a lot of criminals, right? I was doing the stats from the FBI. When you add a behemoth like that, you're going to add crime to like 15, 20% in the area. So a lot of things in the environment, traffic. I mean, it's just, I made a whole petition. It's online. I can forward to you. You can read it also in there. I'm trying to pass it as much as I can. And to get it, I've been talking to the commissioner out here in the area. It's like, look, people, we don't want this here. I mean, pick something that's family friendly, that's more appealing. But this is not a good fit for this area here. So that's kind of a little battle I'm working, get a little taste of Stafford politics out here in Northern Virginia. Just so you know, Amazon just built out here near the airport, which is a little bit more rural, 2 monster warehouses to do distribution. So Amazon likes it. But do you think Amazon wants that near them either? No, they don't, because that's going to be bad for their trucking to come in and out to have all those people in that area. So if they don't want it, what makes you think that we want that?
Ignacio, let me say, speaking from being a former county commissioner,
yeah,
you're on the right track, because my first thing would be, how is zoning going to allow that? Then what you got to do is start a big petition drive and drive it home to them commissioners and say, fellas, you vote for this, you're gone.
Yeah.
You're going to be, because this isn't right for our area. Go find a rural area that can handle that size and not bother any of the residents that deserve their peace and quiet in their neighborhoods. But I agree with you 100%. But that's what I would say. Make sure they got a huge petition drive and take it to the commissioners' meetings and show that show of force and support. And believe me, you'll open their eyes, because they want to stay in office.
I'll get their attention. That's good. Yeah, Bucc-ees, I like Bucc-ees, but Bucc-ees not a good fit for us. That's for sure.
Something like that, I believe, would also start crashing property values because of the amount of even the fumes alone are carcinogens, and you can't help the fumes from all those tanks. I've read the facts. Last week we talked about this, did some research in addition to what you sent us, and I think it's a bad fit for an area like Stafford. So I say it's a downward vote for Bucc-ees in Stafford, Virginia. We have the petition and the link if somebody would like to click in and perhaps sign it and help Ignacio and his neighbors. We definitely support them. And I do know one thing. We found a very obscure case they tried to hide. I think it was the founder of Bucc-ees, the son.
The son.
Caught hiding hidden cameras in the ladies' rooms. So this is it's not just that it increases crime in the area. It's in the family, it seems. So allegedly.
But I say about Bucc-ees is that I'm not against. We're very pro-capitalist people. I want you to understand that. It's just, it has to make sense. It has to be a good fit. But I live here, and nobody in their right mind wants this in their backyard. It's like, who wants a super Walmart right next to them? But you know what's going to bring? Lots of crime. Nobody wants it. Keep it in an area where it's supposed to be more commercial, and there's room for that, because this is enormous. This isn't that, and we already have a Sheetz, we have a Wawa, we already have a Valero. We don't need more gas, especially one with 120 pumps. No, I don't need that.
Ignacio, you two guys, I'm a little bit of a skeptic when you tell this story, because one of the questions I would ask is, who owns this property? That would be interesting to see who owns the land.
Might be the
Do
Chinese.
Research. Because then what they want to do then is cut up the pie and take care of all those that could make those legislative moves go into action.
Sure.
Ignacio, I'm trying to give you a little bit.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. There's a lot of components. I did, at least I've got the petition started, and I've been doing contact, and I'm having my HOA, which is pretty big here, also now getting involved to reach out to these people, because nobody wants this here. And remember, we pay a lot in property taxes. They have to listen to us. They can't just do that. But we pay a lot of property taxes here. Yeah. So,
and I'll say you guys are positions of homeowners and business people. I'm in a position of a guy who screwed up his life pretty good and spent over 18 years in prison. I'm still on the getting on my feet stages. So I will say this: when I was trafficking guns or cocaine, kilos of cocaine years ago, the 80s and 90s, one of the ideal places to meet anybody who you didn't fully trust was in a public place parking lot, because you blended into the surroundings. You knew there was security, and somebody wasn't usually going to gun you down in one of those places or try to rob you. So everybody, for their minor drug deals and for their big drug deals, hey, here's the keys to this car. There's 100 kilos in the trunk, or 20 kilos, whatever it is. They're gonna use these places as ways to transfer points, and it's done all the time. and you know that. And I'm sure you've done many operations and stings.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's easy to blend in like that. Yeah, it's another thing, Frank. It's going to be 1,000 parking spots.
Oh wow.
This is a monster. I can't tell people how big this is. If it was something small, I'd be people okay, fine. But this is not that kind of thing that's coming here. And,
I get
so
you.
we don't want this here. And I'll be honest with you, and the lines. I've been to Bucc-ees twice in Florida, one in Daytona, one in St. Augustine. So it's not like I've never been there. It's just the line. People, it has almost like a cult following. I have to admit this, because people get obsessed with these Bucc-ees and they go whatever, and they wait in this off the interstate, long lines off the ramp to get in there. Takes forever. Parking is crazy, and the food's okay. If you want to eat a brisket, great. If you want to eat the chicken nuggets, great. They have a lot of Southern barbecue food, or they have Texan food, which is great. But there's really no comfortable place where to eat anywhere. So you take it to your car. It's long lines. It's just to me, it's not fun. It's congestion, and I definitely don't want that to deal. Imagine if you live in that area off 95 every day, deal with the traffic to get on and off the ramp. That's not fun. So that's a big problem.
Let me ask you another quick question, real quick.
Yeah.
This place couldn't also turn into, besides shopping and eating and filling up gas, would be what I would call also, would it be turned into or be partly of a truck stop?
I would imagine, yeah.
The traffic, you can imagine the sounds.
I can't imagine. I don't
want that either. I don't want that.
What if traffic's backed up so much to get there, because they have tourism type things in there and a lot of Chinese products, and it's so backed up, and somebody's trying to get off the interstate and they get rear-ended by a massive 18-wheeler.
Oh, okay. that is true. That first responders, I was reading about Bucc-ees too. There's a lot of accidents, and a lot of people do have. You're gonna almost need a special unit just to deal with it, because obviously you're gonna have police responding. You're gonna have paramedics. There's always people are gonna have health issues happening all the time. Something like this, so it's nothing good. It's gonna just have our taxes go higher.
It sounds like it also becomes a soft target for terrorism as well.
Could be.
Bill, Ignacio, what would be the distance? I know they would respond, fire and police, to respond to anything, robberies, stolen stuff, all kind of stuff that could go on with crime. Would they be able to provide quick responses, and what would be the times that it would take for them to get there if they're tied up somewhere else?
If it's tied up somewhere else, it's gonna be a while. Yeah, I mean, they do have different police stations in the area, but it all depends what's going on, right? Who's available? What's not.
That's right.
But like I always said, you never want to rely on the police to save you, right?
No. I mean, the last thing I'll close with is this: work the talk shows and the petitions, and do petitions drives, not only door to door, but you need to get a bunch of people to get involved and support this. And then you go to the big stores for signings of petitions outside of your neighborhood to say they agree with you, and they don't think that should be a good idea. That'll shake them up a little bit. Believe me.
I appreciate it, Frank.
Walk into the board and say, here's your board meeting. I want to show you the petitions. We got a number of people that are against this. You want to go forward with this? We're going to take you out of office.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I played and what I went through, but it also got me a little bit of trouble. But I'd do it again, Ignacio, because that's what I believe in. Right, Bill?
All right.
I appreciate it, Frank. I will do more of that. We're fighting Bucc-ees. We don't want Bucc-ees here. That's for sure. Thank you, though.
We're up against the clock, so we're going to have to sign off, gentlemen. Now, show, I've done the research. Ignacio, please check out the petition and the links. We do not support Bucc-ees in Stafford area. And I asked the residents of Stafford who may be watching this show, support this show. Go to the link and see how you can do that.
Thank you.
I'm very, very grateful for your support. I've turned my life around. I'm doing security consulting now. I'm trying to transition into doing some public relations now. I have one of the best mentors in the country, Tom Madden, to help me with that.
Excellent.
You guys have supported me. I want to show you the books. This is Frank's book. It's in the description. Ignacio's main book is ATF Undercover, and he's got a couple of new ones out. And then you have mine about the wealthiest serial killer in American history, and another one about Ghislaine Maxwell. But aside from purchasing our books, there's a way to support the show, and it's through donations and all that, and we appreciate that. I also work with people that are wrongfully convicted, and that's very time consuming. Right. Guys, thank you for joining. You know where I need to be now.
All right, we got to go too. All right.
So all three of us are available for speaking engagements, by the way. Book signing, speaking engagements. You want to schedule us? In my case, my information is on the screen. Frank would be through framedinnocence.com and or through me. I could get a hold of him. and
Yeah.
Ignacio through his website, Facebook, and through Tom Madden at Transmedia.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, man. We'll do it again. Sounds good, Frank.
All right.
Thank you, bro.
We're all
Take care,
available
guys.
for interviews. We're all available for interviews, book signings, and speaking engagements. Look us up. Thank you so much.
Till next time. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.